Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Legacy Leadership, Day 16 of the Wisdom of the Apostle Paul. The Legacy Leadership journey that we're on is a 30-day series, and we are on Day 16. And I am a couple days behind. I apologize. I've been on business travel. I struggled to get my video and everything set up when I got here, and I just have been busy with other things. And so I'm coming to you with an audio version and a video version that is a video of the devotional that I'm reading, but even the screen resolution that I was trying to set up to match our other settings did not work. So anyways, here's my audio for you. Again, I apologize. I don't want to underemphasize how important this next chunk of this devotional is. I, in fact, want to call great attention to it because this is definitely a section that I've had to go back to a few times as I've explored or experienced leaders and wondered kind of about their motives, and at times where I've had to check my own motives. So keep this in mind as we go through these next few parts. Use the time at the bottom or the questions at the bottom to reflect and get ready for coming together next Wednesday at my house for us to talk about what it is to be a neighborhood coach and where we can go with our leadership, kind of how we can take it to the next level, starting with meeting everybody, getting to know everybody that's on our team, the 5 or 6 groups that are kind of called together with me to work together, help each other, help coach each other, help lead each other so that we can go lead others who and then in turn will lead the future leaders. So that legacy leadership journey that we're on, that legacy logic that we've been thinking about, continues here as we examine our motives. So let's get started. This section is called Pure Motives, Part 1. I recently heard about a phenomenon called the tall poppy syndrome. Evidently, it is a common farming practice to cut down any poppy that grows above the rest. Unfortunately, this practice is not just limited to plants. There is a growing trend to attack, criticize, and resent anyone who has talent or achievement that sets them apart from others. This tendency extends to those who resent the efforts of leaders who change or challenge the status quo. Opponents of change initiatives often attempt to marginalize leaders by attacking their character and questioning their motives. If the messenger is flawed, then the message and the vision they offer cannot be trusted. As disappointing as it is, these challenges come with the territory of leadership. Paul was very familiar with this kind of character assault. He frequently encountered malicious opposition from those who questioned his motive and his methods. We get a sense of the content and intensity of these attacks from his response to those accusations in these verses. This comes from 1 Thessalonians 2, verses 3 through 6. For our exhortation does not come from error or impurity or by way of deceit, but just as we have been approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel, so we speak, not as pleasing men, but God who examines our heart. For we never came with flattering speech, as you know, nor with a pretext for greed, God is witness, nor did we seek glory from men, either from you or from others, even though as apostles of Christ we might have asserted our authority. I think this is a very interesting response from Paul as he tackles verbally and kind of rebukes those accusations against him. Several charges were being made against Paul: error, sexual impurity, deceit, flattery, and greed. Well, that's quite a list. Let's see how he dealt with these allegations. First, he addresses the claim that his message was false by stating that his message did not come from error. He expressed extreme hardship and mistreatment when he experienced extreme hardship and mistreatment when he first came to Thessalonica. Yet he persisted with spirit-empowered boldness. He was willing to persist because his commitment to sharing the gospel was greater than his concern for his own personal comfort. So his message did not come from error. It actually came from his commitment to sharing the gospel, even though he was treated extremely hard. He was mistreated. he was able to persist through a spirit empowered boldness. The second charge accused Paul of his team of engaging in a sexual impurity that was a common feature of many cults during this period. Members of those cults engaged in ritual prostitution in their temples. This practice was based on their belief that by physically uniting with the messenger of one of the gods, they were also united with that god. Paul's detractors had made a similar accusation against him. He emphatically rejected that charge. The third accusation focused on the methods employed by the apostle and his team. They were accused of promoting their agenda by way of deceit, quote, unquote. In the original language, deceit refers to using bait to catch fish. Over time, this word came to mean trickery or any piece of cunning. Just as we would disguise the hook in order to catch a fish, there were many false teachers who resorted to various tricks to attract followers and take their money. Paul's critics were accusing him of the same tactic, and he adamantly refuted this charge. I think this, for me, I'm just going to pause. For me, this is the paragraph that I have to deal with on a daily basis in multiple areas of my life. Because I'm in sales, I'm an outside sales engineer, I'm a field engineer. It sometimes, to some people, appears that the job of a salesperson is to go around with bait trying to catch fish. That trickery, that any piece of cunning that's referred to of here is something that we in sales, the art of salesmanship, we battle all the time. There is absolutely a spectrum of people who are in the job called sales, and there are certainly folks who do use deceit and who certainly do use trickery and who do use what we call bait and switch or smoke and mirrors, and so I have to deal with it on a daily basis as a sales professional, and we overcome that with a genuine motive. We walk around with something called a noble sales purpose, where the reason why we exist is to help our customers solve problems and to make their life and their jobs easier. And in fact, we actually want to make them more successful. We want to make them wildly successful so they can achieve their goals at the organization that they're with. So keeping that in mind, the sales of Christianity, the ministry of discipleship and evangelical Christianity can sometimes, in some ways, be cloaked in this by way of deceit. And I want to always be mindful of the fact that exists, and some people have been burned by that. And I really want to do everything I can to be genuine with people and let them know that despite my faith, despite my weekly practice and my relationship with God, I want the best for their life. I want the best for their family. I want to do whatever I can to add value to their life. And for a lot of people who've been in my life, who've been coming into my life lately, they actually have been coming to me specifically because they were trying to get back into the church. And so that has been helping me reaffirm that my motive is pure, that my relationships that I am building and the people that God has entrusted me to lead, that my motive is pure, that I want to engage with them so that I can help them understand God's truth. And so this third accusation of being deceitful really is something that I take personally because of my day job of being in sales and having to deal with some of the, I guess, stereotypes that go with salesmanship, but also just in religion, in faith, in general. We know that there are plenty of people who are doing it in a way that is deceitful, and in fact, we may know people or have experienced some of that deceit ourselves. So keep this in mind as you continue and we'll finish this devotional up on this. Paul persevered amidst these attacks and demonstrated the purity of his motives that informed his leadership. So first he gives the backstory. He gives well, here's my backup. Here's all the credibility that you need to know in terms of the accusations and the reality. So persevering amidst attacks should be demonstrated through the purity of the motives. And so a lot of that comes through works and actions, not just lip service. So keep that in mind as you reflect and act on these questions. Number 1, have you ever been the tallest poppy at school, on a team, or at work? Did others try to cut you down because of your talent or position? How did you respond? Number 2, be brutally honest. Have you ever been so filled with jealousy that you tried to cut someone down? Number 3, as you consider your response to being the target of others' attacks, as well as your own resentment of others' achievements, what is the Holy Spirit showing you about your attitudes and your motives? Number 4, what adjustments is He prompting you to make? Well, that's it for Day 16, Legacy Leadership, Wisdom of the Apostle Paul. Thanks again for bearing with me as I catch up on our audio files here. Looking forward to seeing you guys in just under a week.